So, hello? So, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. Hi, this is Holger from Germany. I'm talking to Mr. Tibor Takacs, right?
Yeah. Hi. How do you pronounce your name?
Holger.
Older. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right.
Make it a little bit louder here. Okay. So, it's an honor to talk to you today. I would like to start with a very emotional but important question for us. Can you remember your very first visit at a movie theater? Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I can because it sticks out in my mind quite a bit, actually. But let's say the first conscious memory or the first unconscious memory. My unconscious memory, I'm pretty sure, was somewhere in Vienna when I was a kid, like in 1956 or something like that, where I remember being frightened because it's like sticks out in my mind very clearly. What I interpret now as being a shot from an aeroplane looking down at a beach and seeing people being swallowed up by waves, and it looked like lips or something, and it was eating the people.
Okay. Do you remember the title of the movie, or is it just a fragment from the movie you
That's
got
a
in your mind?
fragment. That's why I'm saying it's sort of I call it unconscious memory, kind of.
Ah, okay,
My
yeah,
first conscious memory is really Snow White.
okay,
That was probably a year later or 2 years later, I think. I don't know. Seeing it with my mother and being frightened, and then going out of the theater into the daylight in the like it was a matinee, and the feeling of the warmth of the sun and the sort of comfort of going outside, the relief.
yeah.
I remember the eyes. No, that's not coronavirus, but
No problem. We
uh,
just via phone.
yeah,
And I washed my hands before.
uh, yeah. The scene in the forest where all the eyes are appearing. I remember being frightened by that,
Yeah.
and then the feeling of being frightened and then going outside and going into the daylight, sort of like waking up. I remember that clearly.
I talk to many people who say that Disney is not for children. They are very
Well, it's
frightened. I saw the Rescuers, and I cried in tears because they kidnapped a little child, and it was,
yeah.
oh God.
I know there's some pretty serious stuff, but they don't do too much of that anymore. They're much more careful.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to have this kind of enchantment. Children need to sort of expand their imagination, I think. Religion has that function because even though my family was not religious, they sent me to a Catholic school, a Jesuit school. I remember the catechism was quite serious,
Yeah.
and kind of dark. And I remember the catechism was they would show us a different painting every week, and we would talk about it, like seriously, the story, the painter, whatever, we would talk about it all. That was the class. And I remember these paintings being very sort of dark and scary and horrible and sort of sadistic, you know, like, lots of people being tortured, eaten by lions, all this kind of stuff. Beautiful Baroque paintings.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there
But but there's a famous book that I read a long time ago. I think the guy's name is Bruno Bettelheim. He's like a child psychologist or a teacher. think he's French maybe. It's called The Need for Enchantment. I could have all these facts mixed up, but I remember reading a book like this, and it explained why children need fairy tales.
Yeah. I remember about 2 years ago, I saw with my little children, I saw E.T., and guess who cried all the time?
You.
Yes. But my daughter cried when she saw King Kong, and when King Kong died at the end, then she cried.
Yeah. Well, also I think nostalgia has a lot to do with this kind of enchantment as well for adults.
Yeah, and I think it's the moment. It's the moment when you see the movie, the special moment you will always remember.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go back to that emotional memory. Yeah, and that's a lot of movies, and sometimes the things that I try to evoke in my films, even you're not going to notice them, or you're not going to be able to point them out, but I try to sort of evoke a kind of nostalgia sometimes, without being obvious or going over the top or trying too hard.
Yeah.
Music has music does that very much. I don't know if you follow, soundtrack music, but they really like to evoke memories, emotional memories, I think, from other films.
Yeah.
That's why they seem to be so derivative, and they seem to copy each other. Like, you can actually follow, like, this composer copies that guy, and this guy steals from that guy, and, they always talk about how, different composers are stealing from each other, but I really see it as kind of like they're evoking memories,
Yeah. A good friend of me said once, when you hear a soundtrack and you can see the movie in your head without seeing it before, then it is a good soundtrack.
Yeah. Yes and no. It's. I think sometimes that applies, but other times you want the music to be almost like wallpaper.
Yeah.
It's in the background. You don't want to notice it, but it gives you a mood.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to create tension. That really works with thrillers. When you have a kind of a steady beat, and then you're waiting for that beat to change. That to me is kind of like wallpaper.
Yeah.
I don't actually that. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I know what you mean. Is there a movie that till today gives you the creeps?
Sure there is. There's probably a few of them. But just recently I was talking to a friend actually this morning, and we talked about Society. Remember that movie, Society?
Yeah, Brian Yutzner.
Huh?
From Brian Yutzner, Society.
Yes.
I talked to the guy who made the special effects in Society, Nick Benson.
Yeah.
It's a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of my creepiest movies. That to me, in many ways, is and it's very much like Get Out. Get Out was that movie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what other creepy movies. The Thing, that always freaks me out. But different things. That's maybe more horrific than creep. Horrific, creepy movies. Yeah, and like episodes of The Outer Limits, but then that's also more nostalgia than actual being frightened today.
Yeah. Yeah. I see.
I remember episodes of Outer Limits being scary.
Do you know the movie from Roman Polanski, The Tenant?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would highly recommend. I think it's a very cool psychological horror movie.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
very underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw The Gate at the cinemas when I was a little kid, I think the special effects were wonderful. I never saw that before.
Yeah.
When you when you
that's the
saw
word.
the first pictures from the special effects, what was your reaction
What was that?
when you first saw the results of the special effects from the gate? What was your reaction? What did you think?
Well, a lot of that was created on set, so there wasn't that necessarily the waiting period to see. So it was a slow, gradual kind of. I wasn't surprised. I knew it would be great because I was there watching, and witnessing a lot of it because a lot of it's live. So but it was. I've always been very impressed, and Randy Cook did an amazing job. He worked very hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know how it was created. It was all mostly in camera, and they would spend a day, they would spend a day building it, and then basically getting ready to shoot it. So every 2 days we would have one shot or something. Like some of the bigger shots I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of preparation.
Yeah. One of the movies I like to watch till today. I think it's wonderful. It's great. Very, very fine 80s horror movie.
Thank you.
You did a very great job.
Yeah, when we were doing it, we did it for, it was just a stylistic choice and also a budgetary choice. And it was something that was achievable. And, there was an appreciation for some of the old-time effects that maybe were not completely realized to their limits, so to speak. There was that film, Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Do you know this film?
Yeah, I know that.
Disney film?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an inspiration, one of the inspirations, because, there's lots of forced perspective in that movie.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, enjoy that movie very much.
Yeah, I like it. I love it. Do you have a script in your pocket that you like to release one day? A dream project?
Well, I've been playing around with a project that I liked very much, but I'm kind of in limbo right now. Producers have kind of gone AWOL. I don't know. It's called Bone Walker. And it was something that I played around with the writer. And it's a story about greed, kind of, or I would say, the Wendigo legend, the Indian story about Wendigo and how the early settlers, there was starvation and somebody that was a glutton, or that if you ate human flesh, the spirit would overtake you and you'd become a Wendigo.
Yeah.
Like an interpretation of that legend. It's something that, I've been playing with, but I've been able to do for the last 5 years.
Okay. Can you tell us, please, what is your favorite monster?
My favorite monster
that really impressed you?
Well, I have to say, a monster like in The Thing, that to me is really horrific. Something that can sort of mutate and alter something. That to me is a dreadful monster.
Yeah. And
that's why I enjoyed making that film. One of my films, Mosquito.
yeah.
A lot of people haven't seen it, but it's called Mosquito Man in some places. But I enjoyed doing that film. Had a lot of fun.
Do you
sort
miss?
Of plays with that idea.
Yeah, I know this movie. Do you miss the old special effect days, or do you really like to do CGI movies?
Well, let's put it this way. I appreciate both. They both have their place, and I enjoy both kinds of effects. Maybe some of the most recent, high-tech things that don't even look like effects anymore, I kind of, I appreciate it, but I don't know if I enjoy it as much. When you had to suspend your disbelief, I found that exercise to be part of the experience of watching a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you have to pretend that you're believing, that to me is part of the sort of satisfying experience.
Yeah.
Then if you're not pretending anymore and you're just witnessing, it doesn't seem so engaging.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Can you tell us what are you working on right now, or what are your future projects?
Well, I've got a few sort of sci-fi things brewing, but I've also got my foot in a whole different genre, where I'm doing sort of much more emotional work with actors, and then enjoying myself, which is the opposite of what I used to do. Kind of is these Christmas movies, the Hallmark movies.
Yeah, but we're not talking about an X-rated movie now.
No, not at all. No. Family entertainment. There's something,
Okay.
There's some kind of pleasure that I get from working on those because they are so much more simple in a way, straightforward, and you get to work with a certain kind of purity. It's hard to explain it.
Yeah.
But when you work with the actors, because I do enjoy working with actors, and I don't know if it shows in my movies, but I try to get good performances, and I actually treat it very seriously.
Yeah.
So I get to just exercise that aspect of my craft of taking actors of different kind of levels, different kinds of experiences, and trying to create a performance out of our knowledge of the craft, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's interesting exercise, and they're very short and fast and sweet. It's very quick, and the people are all nice, and everybody has a good time, and nobody it's not exactly rocket science. Like sometimes when you're working on these special effects movies, like every day is a headache and a problem and a logistical problem. So you spend less time with the actors.
Yeah.
I'm learning to spend and enjoy company and working with actors. That's what sort of this Hallmark thing has taught me.
Yeah.
And if I go back to doing some more horror films, which it could happen any moment, I would say I would be able to do an even better job.
Yeah. And talking about actresses and actors, was there a special person in your career that you would say that was amazing and wonderful and outstanding working with that person?
There's so many.
Okay.
But I would say because I don't know, it's my personality maybe, or mixed with their personalities. I've never had really a bad time with any actor.
Okay.
Honestly, except maybe in a TV show with somebody who was behind a monster makeup, and I don't think I ever met them. Like one of those TV shows where they just bring the monster in. You're supposed to, just work, and because they spend so much time in makeup and everybody's in such a hurry. Anyways, that's the only time that I maybe had a difficult time, but every other time I've always had a good time. And the person that stands out the most is Rutger Hauer for me.
Okay, yeah.
Because, he was a pleasure and a difficult man at the same time. Like it was very pleasurable to work with him. He was very challenging,
Yeah.
And he had like really interesting ideas. and sometimes I felt like, oh my God, I wish we had more time to spend with these ideas, but we've got to finish the movie.
Yeah.
But he was great.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. A real artist.
Uh-huh.
I like to thank you for this little Q&A. I like to thank you for your time. And I would send you the link to this little podcast.
Sure, yeah.
And I will write an intro about you, where you were born, when you were born. But maybe you can tell us at this end of this little Q&A, how did you get to the movies? Can you tell us this little story, maybe?
Yeah, I can say that it's probably because of my mother, because she actually went to film school in Hungary.
Yeah.
She went to the famous film school, and she got kicked out of that film school. That's sort of, she was a big appreciator of films, and she always took me to movies. I remember all through my childhood, we would go to a movie every week, the whole family, whether it was some kind of European movie with subtitles,
Yeah.
We're talking about the 60s and 70s, or it was, the latest Hollywood stuff. We appreciated it all. So I had a very eclectic sort of movie education. And I guess in some way it might be reflected in my films, because sometimes I feel, I have one foot in Europe and one foot in Hollywood, kind of,
Yeah.
But that's, I would say that is the sort of the reason why I'm in film, maybe, and my sort of introduction to film was through theater, because in high school I joined a group of friends and we created a theater company, and from that came the first movie. So,
yeah, thanks to your mom.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. And now my son is a filmmaker as well.
Okay.
He's a successful commercial music video guy. I think he's quite well known. His name is Young Replicant.
Uh-huh.
Follow his videos. Follow music at all?
Hello?
No. Yeah, you follow contemporary music?
I like all kind of music. There's no special music I like, but I
Yeah, do you know Alt J?
No.
Band Alt J?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, or the XX, or Flying Lotus. You know this band?
No.
Anyways, you can see some. I guess you could see some. Yeah, this is. I tried to give my son an even deeper sort of film education, so you can see it. Hopefully, you see it reflected in his work, just like I was influenced by my mother. I think my son was influenced by me, so.
Okay.
Quite proud of that.
Okay. We're ready for the next generation. Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Have a good day and stay healthy. Please stay healthy.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Take care of the family.
Thank you
I
very
heard them
much.
on your answering machine.
Yeah. that was I think 5 years ago now, and I still got it on our answering machine.
You'll keep it there even when they grow up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would like that. Yes. Thank you very much, and have a nice evening. Thank you.
Okay, you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.